At a family wedding, I realized my wife and cousin had been secretly together for years. To make it worse, my sister-in-law was the one helping them meet. I cheated on my wife at her cousin's wedding. Not physically. Not yet. But I might as well have. Because what I did was worse. I gave my heart to someone else while wearing my wedding ring. And I did it right in front of everyone who mattered. Let me back. My wife, Sarah, and I had been married for 6 years. 2 kids, a mortgage, a whole suburban dream. We were good. Or I thought we were. Thought we were. I was just comfortable. Bored, maybe. The kind of bored that makes. The wedding was for her cousin Emma. Big family affair. Everyone dressed, open bar, the works. Sarah was in the bridal party, which meant I was on solo dad duty with our boys, ages 4 and 6, for most of the reception. That's when I saw her. My wife's other cousin, Melissa. We'd met before at family things, but this time she looked different. Or maybe I looked at her differently. She was wearing this blue dress, laughing at something, and when she caught me staring, she didn't look away. She came over to help with the kids. That's how it started. So innocent. So, they're getting restless, she said, crouching down to talk to my youngest. Want me to take them outside for a bit? Give a break. I should have said no. I should have been a dad. A husband, a decent human being. Instead, I said yes and followed them out to the garden. We talked while the kids ran around. Just talked. About feeling stuck, about dreams we'd given. She told me about her recent divorce. How she felt like she'd her 20s on the wrong person. I told her things I'd never told Sarah. Things I didn't even know I was feeling. Seems sad, she said at one point. I'm not sad. I lied. That's the same thing. She was right. And the way she looked at me, when she said it, like she really saw me, like I mattered as more than just Sarah's husband, or the boys' dad. I felt alive for the first time in years. We exchanged numbers that night. For the kids, I told. In case Sarah needed help coordinating family stuff. The text friended the next day. Just friendly at first. Memes, jokes. Complaints about Monday mornings. Then deeper. Late night conversations about regret and what-ifs. She told me I deserved to be happy. I told her she understood me in ways Sarah never had. I was falling. Fast and hard. And I didn't try to stop it. Within 2 weeks, we were texting every day. Every hour. I'd sneak away at lunch to call her. I'd stay after Sarah fell asleep, phone glowing in the dark, typing things I should have been saying to my wife, I think about constantly. I wrote one night. Me too. This is crazy, right? Completely crazy. But it feels right. It did feel right. That was the most dangerous part. We met for coffee. Then lunch. Then dinner at a place 2 towns over where no one would recognize us. We held hands across the table. She leaned in close, her perfume making my head spin. We can't do this, I said, not meaning it. I know, she whispered. But I don't want to stop. We in my car that night. Just once, but it was enough to cross every line that mattered. Enough to everything. I drove home in a daze. Guilt already eating me alive. Sarah was asleep on the couch, waiting for me. She looked so small, so trusting. Our wedding photo hung on the wall behind her. I wanted to wake her, and confess everything. Instead, I covered her with a blanket and went to bed. The affair continued for 3 months. 3 months of lies. Sneaking around, deleting messages. 3 months of being 2 different people. Husband who his wife goodbye every morning, and the man who counted down the hours until he could see Melissa again. Sarah never suspected. Why would she? I was her husband, the father of her children. The man she'd trusted for nearly a decade. She was busy with the kids, with work. She didn't notice how distant I'd become. But someone did notice. Sarah's sister, Claire, saw us at a restaurant. I didn't know it at the time. She didn't confront us, didn't make a scene. She just watched. Took a photo of us laughing together. Melissa's hand on mine, and she waited. She waited until the next big family event. Thanksgiving at Sarah's parents' house. I walked into that dinner feeling confident. Untouchable. Melissa would be there. And we'd perfected the art of pretending we were just family. Just friendly cousins, in-law. Sarah hugged me in the kitchen. Asked if I'd help her dad carve the turkey. Our boys were playing with their cousins in the other room. Everything was normal. Perfect. Until Claire asked everyone to gather in the living room. "I have something I need to share," she announced, her voice shaking. "Something everyone needs to see." She pulled out her phone. My turn to ice. Sarah looked at me confused. "What's going on?" I couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. Claire held the photo. Me and Melissa. Holding hands. Looking at each other the way I used to look at Sarah. "This was taken 3 weeks ago," Claire said, her voice breaking. "My sister's husband. Her cousin. Together." The room exploded. Sarah's face went white, then red. She looked at me, really looked at me, and I watched her heart break in real time. "Sarah. I can explain." The most useless words in the English language. "Explain what?" Her voice was so quiet, so deadly. "Explain how I've been screwing my cousin. We never actually." "Don't." She held her hand. "Don't dare minimize this." Melissa was crying in the corner. Sarah's mom was screaming. Her dad just stared at me with pure disgust. But it was my oldest son's face that destroyed me. He'd come into the room, watching the adults yell. He didn't understand everything. But he understood enough. "Daddy," his little voice through the chaos. "Why is mommy crying?" I had no answer. No excuse good enough for a 6-year-old who still thought his dad was a hero. Sarah grabbed the boys and left. Just walked out of her parents' house, without looking back. I stood there, surrounded by her family, everyone I'd lied to for months. Claire spoke first. "Get out." I did. I slept in my car that night. Not because I had nowhere to go. My parents lived 20 minutes away. I had friends with couches. But I couldn't face anyone. Couldn't stomach the thought of explaining what I'd done. Watching the disappointment spread across their faces like I'd watched it spread across Sarah's. So I sat in a Target parking lot until 3 a.m. My phone exploding with messages I couldn't bring to read. When I finally drove home the next morning, the locks were changed. There was a note taped to the door in Sarah's handwriting. "Attorney's name is David Klein. He'll be contacting. Don't come back. Don't call. Don't call. The boys are with my parents." I stood on my own porch like a stranger. Like I'd never lived there. Never painted that door. Never carried Sarah over the threshold as newlyweds. Never taught my oldest to ride his bike on this driveway. My neighbor, Rick, was getting his newspaper. He looked at me, then quickly away. News travels fast in the suburbs. Faster when it's this good. I called Melissa 17 times that day. She didn't answer. Finally, she sent one text: "What, can't talk anymore. My family won't speak to me. I'm moving to Oregon to stay with my dad. I'm sorry. Please don't contact me again." That's when it hit me. She was gone. Just like that. The woman I'd blown my entire for had vanished. And I was left holding the wreckage alone. The woman I'd told understood me. Who made me feel alive. Who was worth risking everything for. She couldn't even face the consequences with me. I'd traded my wife, my kids, my home, my reputation, for someone who blocked my number before the week was out. The divorce moved fast. Sarah wanted it done, wanted me gone from her and permanently. I didn't it. How could I? My lawyer kept saying I had rights. That we should push for 50-50 custody. But he didn't see what I saw every time I picked the boys for my court. Mandated supervised visits. My oldest wouldn't look at me. Just stared at his shoes while my youngest clung to Sarah's leg, crying. "It's okay, baby." Sarah would whisper, peeling him off. "Have to go with daddy." "I don't want to." He'd sob. "I want to stay with." Every single time. It was the same. Like I was a stranger them, instead of their father. The supervised visits happened at a family center downtown. A woman named Joyce sat in the corner with a clipboard. Watching us play with Legos, and pretend everything was fine. The boys asked, why we couldn't go home. Why we couldn't see mommy. Why everything was different. I told them mommy and daddy were taking a break. That grown-ups sometimes need space. All the sanitized lies the court counselor recommended. But kids aren't, they knew. Maybe not the details, but they knew I'd done something bad. Something that broke their family. One Saturday, my oldest finally spoke to me. Did stop loving mommy. We were building a tower. His hands were so small, so careful with each block. "No, buddy. I'll always love mommy." Then why did leave? I did a mistake. A really big. What kind of mistake? How to explain betrayal to a 6-year-old? How to tell your son that fell in love with someone else? That we're selfish and weak. That destroyed everything because we're bored. The kind that, mommy very badly. And I'm so sorry. He looked at me with these ancient eyes. Eyes that had seen too much, understood too much. Connor at school says his dad left them for another lady. He says his dad's bad. My heart stopped. Is that what happened? Did leave us for another lady? I couldn't lie. Not to his face. Not anymore. Our family, yes. And I'm trying to fix it. Can fix it. I don't know. He pushed the tower over. Blocks scattered everywhere. I don't want to be here anymore. He said quietly. I want to go home. Joyce made a note on her clipboard. The financial destruction came next. Sarah got the house, obviously. I got an efficiency apartment in the bad part of town, and child support payments. That swallowed 70% of my paycheck. My parents stopped inviting me to Sunday dinners. My dad called once, said he was disappointed in me, and that was it. My mom cried on the phone and asked how I could do this to those beautiful boys. I lost my job 3 months after Thanksgiving. Not officially because of the affair. But my boss's wife was friends with Sarah's mom. Suddenly my performance reviews were concerning, and they needed to restructure my position. I applied to 47 jobs. Got 2 interviews. No offers. Turns out when your references include an ex-wife and a family and hates, employment opportunities dry fast. I started working at a warehouse. Loading trucks. Night shift. It paid barely enough to cover my apartment and child support, with nothing left over for food that wasn't ramen. I'd see families sometimes during my custody weekends. At the park, at McDonald's. Dads playing with their kids. Wives laughing. Everyone whole and happy. Everything I'd thrown away. The boys started calling less. Then not at all. Sarah began bringing someone to the custody exchanges. A man named Tom. He was kind to the boys, didn't gloat. Didn't even acknowledge me, beyond a polite nod. But I saw the way my kids hugged him. The way they ran to him just like they used to run to me. My youngest called him, Tom Dad, once. Sarah corrected him quickly, but the damage was done. I was being replaced. In real time. While I watched. 6 months after Thanksgiving, Sarah sent me a text. The boys need stability. They need consistency. Tom proposed. We're getting married in the spring. I think it's best if we reduce your recitation. They're struggling with the back and forth. I called immediately. Can't take my kids from me. I'm not taking them. Her voice was ice. Did this, made them afraid to trust. Made them feel unsafe. Every visit upsets them for days. They're in therapy because poisoned them against me. I've never said a word against. Not one. I've defended even when I wanted to scream the truth at them. But they're not. They know something's wrong. They know their dad broke their family. Sarah, please. Wanted Melissa. Wanted excitement and passion and to feel alive. Got it, but don't get to keep us too. Don't get to have it all. She hung. The wedding happened without me. I wasn't invited. Obviously. But I drove past Sarah's parents' house that day, saw the cars, the decorations, the celebration. My kids were in there. Watching their mom marry someone else. Building a new family that didn't include me. I sat in my car and cried like I hadn't cried since the divorce was finalized. A year after Thanksgiving, I barely saw my boys anymore. Every other weekend became once a month. Once a month became holidays only. Holidays became, we're busy, maybe next time. Sarah's lawyer argued, successfully, that my instability and inability to maintain consistent housing made me a risk. The judge agreed. I got supervised visits twice a month, 1 hour each. 1 hour. Twice a month to be a father. My oldest was 8 now. He talked about Tom like he was his real dad. Told me about camping trips and baseball games and birthday I wasn't invited to. My youngest didn't remember much about before. About when we were fate about before. When I lived with them. When I was more than a stranger he had to visit at a gray building downtown. I tried to tell him stories. Remember when we built that snowman? Remember when I taught to swim? He'd look confused. That was Tom Dad. No buddy. That was me. But he didn't remember. Sarah's, there had moved on. I was a ghost haunting the edges of a family that didn't exist anymore. I ran into Claire at a gas station one night. She was pumping gas, didn't see me until I was right next to her. Claire. She turned. And for a second, I saw something like pity in her eyes. Then it hardened. I need to know something, I said. I need someone to know. It wasn't worth it. None of it. I destroyed everything for nothing. I know. She said, quietly. Don't understand. Melissa left. She's married now, living in Portland, probably hasn't thought about me in months. And I gestured at my warehouse uniform. My car, the exhaustion written into every line of my face. I'm this. Major choice. I know. But my boys, they're paying for it. They didn't choose this. No, she agreed. They didn't. Sarah didn't. Her whole family didn't. But did. She finished pumping, got in her car. Before she drove away, she rolled down her window. They're happy now, she said. Sarah, the boys. They're actually happy. Tom's good to them. Good for them. Maybe the best thing can do is let them be happy. She left me standing there under the fluorescent lights, smelling like gasoline and regret. 2 years after the wedding, I got the invitation. Not to a wedding this time. To a birthday party. My oldest was turning 10. The envelope was thin, the kind sent out of obligation. Inside, a generic party invitation with a handwritten note from Sarah. The boys asked if could come. 1 hour. Please don't make a scene. 1 hour at my own son's birthday party. Permission to attend like I was a distant relative, instead of the man who'd been there the day he was born. I showed 15 minutes early, and sat in my car. Watching families arrive, with wrapped presents, and bright smiles. Watching Tom answer the door, shaking hands with other dads. Laughing like he owned the place. Because he did own it. It was his house now. His family. I'd sold it all for text messages and stolen kisses. And he'd bought it at the bankruptcy sale. When I finally walked, gift in hand, my youngest answered the door. He was 7 now, tall for his age, with Sarah's eyes. Hi. He said politely, like I was the mailman. Hey buddy, happy birthday to your brother. Thanks. Mom said come in. No excitement. No hug, just facts. The house was full of people I used to know. Parents from the boys' school, Sarah's family, neighbors from the old neighborhood. My old neighborhood, they all went quiet when I walked in. Sarah appeared quickly, damage control written all over her face. Thanks for coming. The boys are in the backyard. Sarah, the house looks great. Remodeled. Tom did most of it. Kitchen, the deck, the boys' rooms. She was already walking away. Cakes at 3. Should probably leave by 3:30. Dismissed in her house. I found my oldest in the backyard, surrounded by friends. He saw me and his smile faltered for just a second before he recovered. Dad. Yeah, of course I came, bud. Happy birthday. I handed him the gift. A baseball glove. He'd mentioned wanting one during our last supervised visit 3 months ago. He opened it, and I saw the flicker of confusion. Oh. Thanks, Dad. Nice. Tom walked over, in hand. Hey, champ, looks like got 2 gloves now. We can return the one we got yesterday. Use the money for something else. My son's face lit. The batting cage membership. Got it. They did that coordinated high 5 thing. The kind that comes from daily practice. From being around each other constantly. The kind I used to do with him. I stood there watching my son celebrate with another man, and understood with brutal clarity that I'd become a side character in his story. The dad who shows sometimes. The one they have to accommodate. The obligation. The party went on around me. I tried to talk to my youngest, but he was busy playing with his friends. I tried to help set for cake, but Sarah and Tom had it covered. I tried to exist in this space, but there was no room for me anymore. I ended sitting alone at a picnic table. Watching Tom grill burgers like a champion. Watching Sarah laugh at something her sister said. Watching my boys play tag with kids who'd never even heard of me. One of the other dads sat down next to me. Jeff, I think. I'd met him before, back when I lived here. Tough day, he asked. Could say that. For what it's worth, man, I think it's good came. Kids need their dads. Those kids have a dad. And it's not me. That's not true. Isn't it? Look at them. I gestured at my oldest, who was showing Tom a new trick on his skateboard. When's the last time he showed me something? When's the last time either of them called just to talk? I'm a ghost, Jeff. I'm the warning label on a marriage. He didn't argue. We both knew it was true. When they brought out the cake, everyone sang. My son blew out his candles and made a and I wondered if he wished for me to leave. After cake, Sarah touched my arm. It's 3:30. I know. The boys have soccer practice at 4. We need to get them ready. Right. Okay? I found my oldest to say goodbye. He was talking to Tom about some baseball game. Hey bud. I gotta head out. Already? He didn't sound disappointed. Just surprised. Yeah, your mom said of practice. Okay. Thanks for the glove, Dad. Welcome. I love too. Automatic. Rehearsed. I hugged him. And it felt like hugging a stranger. My youngest was easier. He let me hug him, said goodbye, and ran back to his friends without a second glance. Tom walked me to my car. Hey, he said. I know this is weird. But I want to know I'm not trying to replace. I'm trying to be there for them. Or doing a great job. I said, and I meant it. That was the worst part. He was a good guy. Great even. Everything I should have been. They talk about sometimes. Your oldest especially. He remembers the good times. Does he remember why they ended? Tom was quiet for a moment. Sarah's never told them the details. She says that's your story to tell. When they're old enough. What would I even say? Sorry I blew your childhood because I was selfish. Sorry I traded your stable home for an affair that lasted 3 months. Could start with the truth. That made a mistake. That or sorry. That trying to be better. My though. Am I trying to be better? Or am I just surviving? He didn't have an answer for that. I drove away from that party. From that house, from that, and I didn't cry. I was past crying. I was numb. 3 years after Thanksgiving, I got a call from my oldest. He was 13 now, voice cracking, halfway to being a man. Dad, hey, bud. This is a surprise. Everything okay? Yeah, I wanted to talk to about something. My heart seized. Off corny thing. Tom wants to adopt us. Me and Jake. Mom said we should talk to about it first. The world tilted. Yeah. He said it would make us a real family. Like, legally. And we could have his last name and everything. Already had a last name have my name. I know, but. He trailed off. It would make things easier. At school and stuff. People get confused when mom's name is different. She remarried. That's normal. Lots of kids have different last names than their parents. Dad, don't be mad. I'm not mad. I was dying. Or my sons, or my boys, or the only thing I have left. Would still be your sons. This doesn't change that, but it did. It changed everything. It erased me legally, officially. It made Tom their father in every way that mattered. What do want? I asked. Not Mom, not Tom. What do want? Long silence. I want things to be normal. He finally said. I want to not have to explain why my dad doesn't live with us. I want Jake to stop getting confused about who to call on Father's Day. His voice broke. I want it to be simple. And I make it complicated. Made a choice, Dad. A long time ago. And we've been dealing with it ever since. 13 years old, and he sounded 40. If I say no. If I this. Then be making it about again. Like always do. That hit like a bullet. Your mom really never told why we divorced. She said grew apart. That sometimes people stop being right for each other. That's not what happened. Then what did happen? This was it. The moment. I could tell him the truth. Make him understand that I wasn't just some deadbeat, who left. That I was a man who made a catastrophic mistake. Who destroyed everything for someone who meant nothing. But what good would it do? What would it change? Your mom's right. I said. Wood grew apart. So we're okay with it. The adoption. Every fiber of my being screamed no. I wanted to rage, to refuse. But what was the alternative? Make my kids suffer through a legal battle. Force them to choose sides. Drag them through my mess one more time. If it's what want, if it makes you easier, then yeah, I'm okay with it. Thanks, Dad, I gotta go. Tom's taking us to the batting cages. Tell your brother I love him. I will. Love too. I sat in my apartment, in the silence, and understood that this was it. This was the end. Not the divorce, not the separation, but this. The final erasure. The moment my sons stopped being mine in any meaningful way. I'd become a footnote in their story. The biological father. The cautionary tale their mom might tell them someday when they were molmath to understand. Your real dad made some mistakes. And Tom stepped. That's all I'd ever be. The adoption went through 6 months later. I signed the papers in a lawyer's office that smelled like old coffee and broken families. Sarah was there. We hadn't been in the same room, alone in years. She said quietly. For not fighting this. Did think I would. I didn't know. Have surprised me before. Fair. Are they happy? I ask. Really happy? Yes. Tom's good to them, good for them, better than I was. She didn't deny it. For what it's worth. I said. I'm sorry. I know I said it before. But I don't think ever really heard it. I'm sorry for everything. For the affair, for the lies, for destroying our family. For making doubt, for the boys. For all of it. I heard. She said. I just don't know what want me to do with that information. Nothing. I just needed to say it. She gathered her papers, stood to leave. Sarah, she turned. Do they ever ask about me? About before, sometimes. Jake barely remembers. Your oldest does, but he's at that age where he's trying to figure out who he is. Having Tom officially as his dad helps with that. And me. Where do I fit in that identity? She looked at me with something like pity. Don't, she said simply. And that's your fault, not theirs. She left. I sat in that office for another hour, staring at the papers that legally erased me from my children's lives. The lawyer, an older woman with kind eyes, touched my shoulder. Can still be their father. She said gently. Biology doesn't define parenthood. Doesn't it? Because from where I'm sitting, I'm not their father. I'm not their anything. I'm just the guy who shows twice a month and disrupts their real. Or grieving. That's natural. I'm not grieving. Grieving is for things that. I killed this. My family with my own hands. And now I get to live in the grave I dug. She didn't argue. I stopped going to the supervised visits after that. Told it was for their benefit. That seeing me just confused them. Truth was, I couldn't bear it anymore. Couldn't bear watching them live I wasn't part of. Couldn't bear being the obligation, the inconvenience, the mistake they had to accommodate twice a month. My parents died within a year of each other. Dad had a heart. Mom just gave grief, the doctors said. I think it was shame. Shame that her son had become this. I didn't go to either funeral. What was the point? They'd already mourned me years ago. I'm 42 now. I work at the same warehouse, live in the same apartment, exist in the same gray space between living and dying. Sometimes I see families at the grocery store and I think about my boys. They're teenagers now. I wouldn't recognize them if I passed them on the street. I wonder if they think about me. If they remember the good times, or if Tom's overwritten all those memories. If they ever wonder what happened to their real dad, or if Tom is their real dad now. In every way that counts. I wonder if they'll invite me to their weddings someday. Probably not. I destroyed everything at a family wedding. Seems fitting that I'd be excluded from theirs. People ask me sometimes, guys at work, why I'm alone, why I never date, never talk about family, never have anywhere to be on holidays. I tell them I like it that way. That I'm better off solo. The truth is, I don't trust anymore. Don't trust that I won't make the same mistakes someone else another. The truth is, I had everything. A wife who loved me, kids who worshipped me, a most men would for. And I traded it all for text messages and stolen kisses, with someone who forgot about me, before the year was out. I traded a lifetime for a moment. And now I live in the aftermath, watching from a distance, as my former continues without me, better without me, happier without me. This is my cautionary tale. My warning label. If we're reading this, if we're thinking about cheating, about that harmless flirtation, about that person who makes feel alive just know that alive feeling is a lie. It's a. And when it wears off, you'll wake in a wasteland of your own making, surrounded by the wreckage of everyone claimed to love. You'll lose your kids. Not all at once, but slowly, like a tide pulling away from shore. Until one day you'll look and realize they're not yours anymore. They're just people you used to know who happen to share your DNA. You'll lose. The version of who could look in the mirror without disgust. The version who believed he was a good man. You'll lose years. Decades. Watching happen to everyone else, while frozen in the moment, destroyed everything. And the person did it all for. They'll move on. They always do. I saw Sarah once more, 2 months ago. She was at a restaurant with Tom and the boys. I was delivering a package next door. They looked happy. Complete. A real family. My oldest, 17 now, looked just like me at that age. But his smile was lighter. His shoulders weren't carrying the weight of regret. My youngest laughed at something Tom said. And the sound of it broke something in me I didn't know was still intact. They didn't see me. I made sure of it. I watched them for just a minute, then walked away. That's all I am now. Someone who watches from a distance. Someone who gave the right to be part of the story. I cheated on my wife at a family wedding. And I've been paying for it every day since. The affair lasted 3 months. The consequences will last forever.